Hi, everybody. I'm Mel Dorr, Chicago intuitive consultant and psychic medium. Welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm so excited. I'm up to 13,000 subscribers, and I'm going to be on Linda Grindel's channel today as well. So on my channel and her channel, I will announce the three winners. When I get to 13,500 subscribers, I'll give away another half-hour session. I was going to post a video on Christmas Day, but I was in Kentucky, and where I was didn't have very good internet connection or reception. So I was having a good time with my family as well. So I thought I'll just put it on hold for a while. And I didn't really want to do it New Year's Eve or New Year's Day. So I thought today would be a really good day. So I'm going to talk about some of my predictions and some of the holiday traditions in my family. You know, when my mother was alive, she passed away in 2016. Every Christmas, we would go to Kentucky. My mother's two favorite holidays were Christmas and Derby. There's an I'm trying to watch that. Anyway, my mom just loved to have the family together on Christmas Day. Christmas Eve years ago, she would have a lot of my first cousins, some of her siblings over, and we'd have a big feast and then play cards all night long. I come from a family of card players. We just love to play cards. And on Christmas Day, it was mom, my sister, my brother-in-law, my nephew, his wife's children, my nephew's children, their children, and Gary and myself. But when mom died in 2016, the first year after mom died, Gary and I went to Kentucky to celebrate Christmas with my great niece, my sister, my brother-in-law, and my great niece's daughter. And then following year, we started going to my cousin Ralph and Laura's house for Christmas Eve. And it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. In 2019, we went to Ralph's house, but I had my family here for Christmas Day. It was the first time in 35 years they had been here. So I didn't cook the traditional Southern meal. I cooked Italian, and I made ossobuco and all kinds of neat stuff. As you know, I love to cook. So in 2020, we couldn't do anything. And then, so this year, we went to my sister's. We'd have a very good time. On New Year's Eve, typically we're back in Chicago, and we spend that with my cousin Ralph and his wife Laura and my cousin Lisa. Oh, also I forgot to mention, on Christmas Day, when we're here in Chicago, we go to my cousin Lisa's house. So we have our own little traditions. So I think, you know, this post-holiday season, let's make everyday Christmas holiday season, giving and caring. And remember those who set the traditions for us before they crossed into spirit. I'm wishing each and every one of you a very, very happy and a prosperous new year. 2021 had its tough moments as well as 2020, but my guides assure me we'd get through it, and here we are. Boy, I want to start out with climate change. You know, in Kentucky on Christmas Day, it was 72 degrees. And then I think Christmas Eve or the day before, it was also very, very warm, like in the 70s. And I can't remember when it's been that warm for that consecutive amount of time. Here in Illinois, I think they said it was 50, but it was really unseasonably warm. Not to mention those horrible fires in Colorado and those poor people that lost their properties because of the dryness. They haven't had any snow. I understand it snowed now. Maybe that helped put those fires out. You know, here again, this climate change, what's going on with the warming is a warning to us. We really need to get on the stick and tell our politicians that they had better do something about reducing greenhouse gases, carbon emissions, and that we want a future for our posterity. The thing that frightens me most about everything going on in this country is really the thing that frightens me the most. I'll say it again, is climate change. I'll be 68 years old. So the bigger part of my life is behind me. But when I look at my great niece and then their generation, don't we want to leave them an environment that's clean, air that's breathable, a decent climate, animals that won't have to go extinct because of this climate change and what we're doing to the planet? I think COVID was a wake-up call that we all need to be diligent. Now, what I'm talking about climate, and when I'm talking now, I'm not talking as Mel. It's almost like, not almost like, I am channeling my guides. I just Melize it, if you will. You know, luckily here in Chicago, we didn't get snow for Christmas, but on New Year's Day, I went out to the grocery store because on New Year's Day, I always make black-eyed peas in some form of cabbage, usually sauerkraut and boiled cabbage. And my grandmother would put a dime in her boiled cabbage because she said it brought you money all year long if you did that. Well, I didn't put a dime on my boiled cabbage, but I had plenty of black-eyed peas and sauerkraut and some nice ham steak and some wonderful boiled cabbage with a nice Polish sausage. So we ate well. Anyway, when I went to the grocery store, it was raining a little bit. And by the time I came out of that grocery store, it was snowing. And so we got our first substantial snowfall this year. We've already had a minor one, but this was substantial. Well, not substantial for Chicago, but I think it was around maybe 5 or 6 inches for us. That's not that much. But the temperature today is 14 degrees, which is kind of usual for Chicago in January. So we did get our snow. I like a good snowstorm here and there. I get tired of it by the end of the winter. I guess better thing is in Australia, they just had their first day of summer, December the 21st, and they're in their summer season. So I hope everybody in Australia that it's nice and warm there. When I say 14 degrees, I mean Fahrenheit. I don't know what that transfers to Celsius, but I'll tell you, it's cold. I've got my Aloha shirt on because I'm inside, I'm warm. So anyway, I do see a lot more violent storms coming. I see, you know, some major rains coming to the West Coast. Even Hawaii is having a lot of rain. I understand that Honolulu was under a flood advisory. So a lot more inclement weather and a lot more severe storms because of this climate change. Once again, I asked my guides if we had tipped the scale too far. Have we reached the point of no return with climate change? And my guides say, no, we have not. You know, the damage that's done, I don't know if we can repair that, but we can prevent future damage. And I'm asking my guides if we'll be successful in that. And they're saying it's going to take a lot of work, but yes, we will be successful in that. So I trust my guides. Meanwhile, it doesn't mean I'm going to sit back on my laurels and not do anything. As I said, I don't care if your Congress people are Democrat, Republican, whatever they are, call them up and tell them that you do not and will not have this climate change. They need to do something. Which brings me to my point, the Build Back Better bill. That's hard to say. It's almost like saying, I want some better butter. Build back better. Anyway, sounds like I'm saying build back butter. I've got crazy pronunciation. I ultimately see that going through, even if it's in dribs and drabs. So when Manchin said it's a definite no, I don't believe that. I see it pass at some point. And I think what'll happen is the whole climate change stuff, they'll do in little increments, but we'll get a lot passed over the next year to year and a half with protecting the climate. So I do see the infrastructure bill going through. I don't know how good it's looking for Manchin right now, but I'm sure he's playing to his rich constituents who probably, well, I can't say what I'm thinking, but who probably said they'd make things nice for him if he would stall on the Build Back Better bill. Anyway, I see, and also Sinema, I see her gone. So climate change is real, and it really shouldn't be something that's politicized. Everybody should be reaching across the aisle saying we owe this to posterity. But I think many of the politicians want to see this chaos. My guides show me. They want to see all of this craziness, because if they can create anarchy, they can say, look what's going on. We can fix it, which obviously didn't work with Trump. Anyway, so climate change is my big concern. I do see more violent storms coming. I see a lot more hurricanes hitting, a lot of rain, a lot of floods, Southern California, more wildfires out west, but also some major blizzards hitting, some major ones on the East Coast and in places you wouldn't even think. I mean, it's pretty frightening when Kodiak, Alaska is 68 degrees on Christmas Day, or whenever it was. Excuse me, all my eyes itching. My allergies are acting up. They do in the wintertime. Okay, so weather, more violent storms. But I also see a grassroots movement starting to say we have to do more about climate change because of the ferocity of some of these storms I see coming. And my guides say our voices will be heard. So good. The economy for 2022, I see getting a lot better. I see inflation being curbed. I see the supply chain crisis coming to an end. I see the labor shortage getting much better. The nursing shortage, that's going to take a while. I think it's going to take a year and a half to 2 years to build that back up. But what I do see is the government giving an incentive to those people who want to go into medical fields like nursing, respiratory therapy, and giving them really super duper low interest student loans, and saying that if they work in a healthcare profession for X amount of time when they finish school, then that debt is forgiven. So I see that coming in 2022. I also see some of the standards in some of the nursing schools lowering a little bit. It's not going to do anything bad for medical care, but not everybody has to be a biochemist to go into certain healthcare professions. I think they did it before because it was so competitive. They wanted to weed people out, but now they need people. And I also think they're going to be importing some medical professionals from other countries due to this COVID pandemic. So ultimately, I see the nursing and the teacher shortage getting a lot better, but it's going to take about 1.5 years, 2 years. COVID-19, Omicron, my guides had told me it wouldn't be as bad as the Delta variant. It's highly contagious, but it would burn out pretty quickly. And I asked my guides again, and my guides are telling me that probably by April, this Omicron thing will be behind us. I'm glad that in Chicago, it's now a mandate that in order to go in restaurants and bars, people have to show their vaccination. And on my tours, through the companies that put together the tours, and I get the groups together to go, as of January the 1st this year, any travelers with that company, be it domestic or international, has to show their certificates of vaccination within 14 days from the time of travel, and that vaccination must be within 365 days of departure date. So a lot of companies are really starting to push the vaccine mandate, and they have the right to do that. As we speak, please send healing energy to my great niece. She's a healthcare worker. She's a respiratory therapist, and she has Omicron. And it is pronounced Omicron. That's the Greek pronunciation. She's been vaccinated and she's had her booster and she's got a mild case, but still send her healing energy. We didn't see her over Christmas because she was ill. So by I think maybe April, this whole COVID thing, thank God, my guides say will be pretty much on the wayside. Will the virus mutate? Yes, but it's going to be more dangerous in people who aren't vaccinated. So now if you have a medical reason, I understand that. Don't everybody please start sending me messages about, you know, getting vaccinated or not getting vaccinated. I just think, you know, if you have a medical reason, I understand that. But most people don't have a medical reason or a religious reason for that matter. Anyway, so I see this will finally be the year that we can put an end to this whole COVID thing. All right. I also think it's going to be the year where we finally start to see some indictments being handed down above and beyond Mark Meadows, Bannon, but also Flynn and Stone. So I see a lot of indictments. A lot is going to be coming to the surface about the whole Trump organization in New York. So I'm seeing a lot more indictments coming there and convictions. I see my guides are showing me that the January 6th commission is going to unearth a lot of stuff. And they're going to be able to trace that right up to Cheeto Head. So they haven't even scratched the surface yet. And I still see that commission staying together past November. So that must mean that the Democrats are able to hold on to their seats, because if the Republicans take over the House of Representatives in Washington, they're gonna disband that committee. And I see at some point special prosecutor. And I've been saying too, my guides are showing me that the Mueller report will be looked at very carefully again. I see changes coming on the Supreme Court. And I see investigations into Kavanaugh. People will come forward again and make allegations against him. I was tickled to death when I saw, well, not to death, but really tickled, okay? Half death, I don't know, tickled. When Marjorie Taylor Greene was permanently banned from Twitter. Makes me like Twitter that much more. I see her voted out with her bullying and her bigotry and her racism. She really is a fascist. I see Boebert out. And the one that I really, I don't want to say I'm taking perverse pleasure, but I really am, is Nunes resigning. You know, I had predicted that I saw him out. Well, he's going to work as many of you well know, for the Trump organization. Trump is using Nunes as a patsy, and Nunes is just too stupid to see it. And it's really gonna bite Nunes in the butt, because that organization is already under investigation. And I see criminal charges being brought against that organization. If Nunes is CEO, who are they going to come after? Again, Trump always insulates himself. He's like the mafia don. He insulates himself, but he's not smart enough to be a mafia don, by the way. But his insulation will fall apart. I still see Trump under indictment. I don't see him going to jail. And a lot of his cronies, I still think one of those higher ups, I don't think it's Meadows, but somebody is going to flip. There's going to be a couple people that will flip. And ooh, that's going to be explosive. I understand Trump is planning on something on January 6th of 2022 this year. And I won't say, to use Linda's terminology, it'll be a nothing burger, but he's using it to just stir the pot. He's using it to just rile people and play on their emotion. And he gets them to suspend critical thinking. That's how cults operate. But people will start waking up to it. I heard Marjorie Taylor Greene say that there should be a divorce between the Republican and the Democratic states. That sounds to me a lot like secession, don't you think? That sounds to me like it's a precursor to a civil war. Many Republicans would like that, I think, a divorce between Republican and Democratic states. But if it happens, it's going to be really bad. And I'm not a Dougie Downer. Once Greene is out, she'll still be working behind the scenes to overturn things, but I see her in criminal trouble too. I don't know exactly what it is, but and Gaetz, Matt Gaetz, standing trial, convicted, jail. And a lot of other members of the House and some senators as well, like Ted Cruz. So there we go. So it's a year when finally we start to see karma taking place and these people being accountable criminally and civilly for the shenanigans that they've pulled. My guides also show me a lot of lawsuits against Fox News for the lies and the things that they have put out there. And a lot of the people that'll be filing lawsuits against Fox News because they've died of COVID and what Fox News said that COVID wasn't that bad or whatever it was, these people will win. I'm not seeing a long life for Rupert Murdoch. And so after his demise, I'm really seeing Fox News, unless it's sold, kind of pulling apart at the seams in a good way. So we'll see that happening within the next year to year and a half. So finally, we'll start to see these indictments and people being held responsible for their actions. Now, Meadows' lawsuit, where he's suing all the members of Congress or whoever he's suing, it's not going to hold up. And all these frivolous lawsuits that Donald Trump files against everybody, it's his modus operandi. And I am sure that Donald Trump was the one that instructed Meadows to file those lawsuits. I think, he filed suit against, I think, wasn't the January 6th committee and all of that stuff, each one individually and severally? It's not going to work. It won't work. I see some great breakthroughs in science with mRNA research. I see at some point a vaccine for HIV, for AIDS, if not a cure. A lot more private people going into space. And I think because of the outcry of the amount of money spent on that, I think some of those very wealthy individuals will also start donating money to feeding the poor and helping infrastructure and things like that. But it's exciting breakthroughs in science, especially with cancer research, especially in viral research. A lot of stuff coming out with monoclonal antibodies that will help, maybe not cure, but help to treat diseases like diabetes and diseases like amyotrophic lateral sclerosis. Everybody, please send healing energy to Regina. She has ALS. She's such an angel. So please send healing energy to her, by the way. So a lot of breakthroughs in science. And people are asking about, will Roe v. Wade totally be overturned? I see it stripped down, but I don't see it overturned completely because of the changes I see coming to the Supreme Court within the next year, year and a half. I see Kavanaugh off the court. I see 3 justices off the court. So I see a more balanced court. And at some point, I see more than 9 justices added to the court. So once the court changes, if Roe v. Wade goes back to Supreme Court, they won't overturn Roe v. Wade, but they will ban late-term abortions, which I think they should. And I am I believe in a woman's right to choose. Now, voting suppression, voter suppression. Boy, it seems about as futile as a snowball in Hades to get any kind of voter protection passed. But I just heard there's some senators, Democratic senators, that have a few tricks up their sleeve in getting, hopefully, to get the Voting Rights Act passed. I need 60. And I see it being passed before the midterms, which will really save our democracy. Because as it stands now, those states that have enacted those voter suppression laws, if they don't like who wins, they could just say, we don't like that. We're going to put somebody else in we want. And it doesn't work that way. Our right to vote is one of our fundamental rights. So we need to write to those Congress people in those states and our own Congress people and senators and say, we will not tolerate that. You know, just like Donald used to say to people on The Apprentice, you're fired. Well, we can say that when we vote those yahoos out of office. So they'll try to tamper with our voting rights. They'll try to tamper with our democracy. They already are, under the guise of more freedom. But they will not win. I default back to what Ruth Bader Ginsburg showed me, her spirit showed me. And remember I told you all, she showed me this tiny speck of light in this horrible chocolatey darkness. And it got larger and larger, and it pushed back this horrible darkness. And this darkness came forward and just kept the light from growing and tried to put it out. And that's where we're now. But then all of a sudden the light grew incrementally, and then the darkness pushed back, but then the light grew and it was pushed back. But each time the light grew, it gained more space forward. It got further forward, but it keeps getting pushed back. And she said it would look like that the light would be defeated, but ultimately the light will take over and will win. So I default back to what she showed me with what's going on with voting rights, voter suppression, women's rights, LGBTQ rights, specifically transgendered. Oh, they'll try to monkey with all that too, but they won't win. So it's up to us to speak up. Let me see here. I'm just looking. Oh, I just heard that the Pfizer vaccine was expanded for teens. Good. So at least they can get vaccinated, and children too. You know, I'm seeing a new political party. You know, the Trumplicans turned the Republican Party into a new political party, but I'm seeing another political party. And it's going to be a political party rising up, not like Tea Party or all that stuff, but it's really going to be a party dedicated to the middle class, the working people, giving them tax breaks, giving them lower interest student loans, all the things that we want to happen that really will be dedicated to human rights, environmental issues. And I don't know what it's going to be called. It's not the Green Party, but it's something else. And it'll take hold really fast. And that'll bring about really positive change. That's a while off. I don't know if it's in 2022, but it's a while off yet. I see a lot of those people on January 6th, 2021, who participated, the higher ups. I see them indicted for trying to overthrow an election. I don't know if that's treason, but some really, really big charges, and them going to jail. I see changes on SCOTUS, as I said. So the troop buildup at the Ukrainian border. I find it amazing that Putin says he doesn't want NATO to expand any further eastward. Well, he doesn't get to say that. If those countries in Eastern Europe want to join NATO, he doesn't have a damn thing to say about it. My guides show me that Putin would like to have the countries that were the old Soviet Union back. Putin, it ain't gonna happen. I do see some military action he'll take against Ukraine, but I'm thinking that the European Union and NATO, a lot of countries will send in troops to push Putin back. You know, Putin also has his eyes on the Baltic republics like Latvia, Lithuania, Estonia. People say, oh, no, they're too small. Wrong. And he'd also like to have an influence in Eastern Europe. And he doesn't like it because many of those Eastern European countries are joining the European Union. Too bad, Putin. I see him out of office at some point. I don't know, it's weird. I don't know if somebody assassinates him, but I just don't see a long life. And it's not a pleasant way to go, what's going to happen to him. Now, what happens with his replacement? Well, my guides tell me his replacement will at least be more democratic. And at some point, I predict a friendship between Russia and the United States without Putin. So it's kind of a powder keg there. I didn't really focus on China a lot, but as we go through the year, I'll give more predictions. Okay, so that's about all I've got for right now. Oh, no, I take it back. There I go with my uhs again, my mental pause. I know the US diplomatic boycott of the Beijing Olympics, but I see our athletes will be allowed to go and participate. So, and I think our athletes will do pretty well in those Olympics. I see more marches by the white supremacists, but I also see more marches for the people who are more liberal Democrats and people marching for genuine human rights and to help the ecology and to be inclusive of everyone. So there's going to be people that are going to start standing up to the Marjorie Taylor Greens and the neo-Nazis and the white supremacists and the Donald Trumps. More of the QAnon stuff is going to be called to the surface and is going to be shown. We all know it's BS, but what BS it really is. And I see a lot of lawsuits, and there, who's going to be behind this QAnon stuff? A lot of that'll be exposed as well. So 2022, a year of many truths and reckonings for those truths. So that's pretty much where I see it going. Now, again, I'll think about it and I'll do other videos. But for right now, that's about all I've got. And I'm wishing you a happy and a safe new year. Oh, and by the way, I see a different mayor in Chicago. And I see somebody who's from the Spanish-speaking community and who will work to get rid of gang violence and gun violence in our city. We were just downtown over the Christmas holidays in Wrigleyville. That's where Wrigley Field is. So we went to the Christkindl market there. We didn't go to the one downtown in Daly Plaza, but it was really nice and decorated beautifully and everybody was getting along, which is so amazing. There's nothing like Chicago, especially at Christmas. All right, everybody. Happy holidays. Stay safe and well. Aloha, ahoy ho. Namaste.